Hey guys, I'm here with one of my very best friends, Jerry Norton. Thank you so much. We are sitting in front of Lake Blaine, one of two properties that Jerry owns on Lake Blaine. And in this video, it's going to go long. It should be 40 minutes or so. You are going to learn how community camp will actually make you and I money. We have never talked about that. I want to talk about what this week did for us.
For a free event.
For a free event. Yeah. Actually, an event that we put up money for, not only through donations, but I think the total event costs with personnel and the things that we had to do with tents and food and all that kind of stuff. We spent about $100,000 on this event. Man, we had like 5 Greyhound buses.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But I want to talk about how we actually will make money from this event. Why have I been in Montana? And more importantly, I want to talk about what it's like to have a good friend in your life and what that should do for you. And Jerry and I are going to kind of recap the week, what we've been up to, what we did at the beginning of the week, the first thing I did when I came into town. And we'll talk about how you can go and find friends just like Jerry, maybe a friend like Pace. I don't know that you want a friend like Pace. I don't have a lake house.
Yeah, but you got other cool stuff.
Well, you know what I have? I have a friend who has a lake house.
That's even better than a lake house.
So you're just one degree of separation. So, Jerry, I don't see you hang out with a lot of people. I see that most of the people that you hang out with or you interview are all real estate people. Do you have non-real estate or non-business related friends in your life?
Other than my children, no, I don't think so.
Really?
I have some associates, people, from church but for the most part, I'm very, very selective about the friends and the people that I spend time with.
When did that transition happen for you? Because I know you started in Detroit, and you went to high school in Detroit, right? Or Michigan?
Metro Detroit, yeah, Michigan, yeah.
Metro Detroit, you were in Michigan, you went to high school there. Mm-hmm. At what point did you separate from that crowd and start creating new relationships?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think the real concern here is when you grow up in a town and you stay in that town, you start to get associated by everybody. You associate yourself based on that upbringing, and if you're developing and you're growing, you should be a different person than you were a year ago.
Right.
But yet it's very common for friends and family to try to hold you back from living into your better self. And so I think for me, leaving my hometown was one of the best decisions I ever made, right? I see a lot of my friends I went to school with, on Facebook and stuff, and they're still in the same town. I think that's a real disadvantage in your life if you're staying in the same town you grew up in. And even more importantly are there people in your life that you're associating with that aren't, at least one level or more ahead of where you want to be? Because all of that matters. That influence matters, whether you can put your finger on it or not. It matters, and it has an impact and an influence in who you are and how you live.
Was there a moment where you said, man, I want to move around? Because you kind of have a rule, and it's a general rule of thumb for you and Marie's life. It seems that you guys are moving every 3 to 5 years. Was that a goal that you always had, or did you do it one time and see the fruits of it that you decided, wow, that really worked, and I'm going to do it more and more?
Yeah, I think we kind of fell into that by default. What happened was we were in Michigan. I'd been there for 10, 12 years married, and then we decided to do a year in the RV. And it was really scary because we were leaving, my backyard market. Everything I was doing was right there in Michigan. And so it was a real leap of faith to leave and still be doing deals. And I didn't know how that was all going to go. It was kind of like walking in the dark a bit. But I had such tremendous growth when I got out of my town, when I got out of my market. And then I thought to myself, man, I would not have had this growth had I not left Metro Detroit. So it kind of spurred that. And then, 1 or 2 more moves after that within that 3 to 5 window really just solidified and confirmed to me that every time I move into a new community, a new city, I get to reset. I get to kind of say, well, who do I want to be? Nobody in this new town knows me, so I can kind of be whoever I want.
Yes.
And it gives you an opportunity to kind of start over, so to say.
Yeah, just as you're saying this, it makes me think about one of the things that holds you back is not necessarily your thoughts of yourself, but also the belief or thoughts that somebody else imposes on you. Okay, so like your friends, let's say you start outgrowing a certain circle of friends. That circle of friends either subconsciously or consciously make an effort to thwart your growth. And they're going, hold on. This is not the Jerry that I became friends with 2 years ago. Like, whoa, you're growing, you're outgrowing. And what I love about it is that when you reset in the new market, the people you move into have no clue who you are. And so they spend the first 6 months getting to know who you decide you want to be, rather than at the end of a 3-year stint, you're trying to fight past their belief of who you are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, because they don't necessarily see you growing, right? They remember you for how you were, or how their first impressions of you. So hopefully you're on a trajectory that's always improving and growing and developing. But all the people around you, and family sometimes can be the worst about this, they see the old you, and it's hard for them to often see the new you. So that's what that does when you kind of reset and make new friends. It's painful. You know, you got to let go of some old relationships sometimes, and you might get judged for that, or that might be kind of hard. But when you make those new friends that are actually pushing you to be your best self, you have so much growth. And that's what it's been for me. Like knowing Pace, when I'm around you, Pace, you think on such a high level that I can't help but think on a higher level just by being in association with you.
I feel the same way about you. And you know, what's cool too is that there's ideas that I'll have with my wife. I'll have a conversation with my wife, like, hey, we should hire help around the house. And my wife, hearing it from me, it's no, I'm going to do it myself. Yeah. And then when she comes and hangs around with your wife, and she sees how your wife has systematized things and she brings in help very intentionally, my wife comes home and goes, hey, you know what I was thinking? I think we need to get some help around the house. Yeah. I'm like, wow, that's a really great idea. Wink, wink, that I've never brought up before one time. So it's not just about money. It's about lifestyle and how you handle your family relationships, how you and your spouse operate. You know, you and I have been able to go on 3 or 4 dates with our spouses just in the last year or so. And it's fun just to see how you guys treat each other. And Laura always walks out of those relationships or those nights going, I feel so much better knowing that there's those relationships out there that truly love each other, rather than our friends and family from high school that are all getting divorced and going through those things and whatnot. So I feel the same way about you. You know, I came into town, what is it? Today's Sunday. We are working on a Sunday, which is rare for me and very rare for Jerry. But Jerry just accommodated 350 people at this house.
And I think we could have fit more. Do you guys think we could have fit more?
What do you think, Vina? You think we could have got
It felt
more?
like we could have fit more.
I think you're about to find out next year.
Yeah, we'll find out next year. We'll talk about that in a little bit too, about Community Camp 2023, and kind of lead into Community Camp 2024, what we think there, what our thoughts were on Community Camp 2023 and what the benefits were from that, and what we hope to accomplish in next year's Community Camp. But I got here, I think, Monday of last week. It's now Sunday, so I've been here 6 days. And we've accomplished quite a bit.
Oh, yeah. You know, Pace, going back to this vision you had, I remember we were on a Zoom with the people that you brought into this community, and people like Vina and Jamil and Cody, your business partner, and Henry Washington and Abraham and all the others that came part of this. You could see that you strategically brought together people that had a very common vision of community, helping people, growing and developing, doing big things. And so I didn't quite catch the vision at first of kind of what community camp was supposed to be. You had the vision all along, but I quickly saw what it was that we were creating. And I told my wife, like after the first night, I said, this is something really, really special. I have never seen or been a part of something this special, to bring together a group of leaders and invite a group of people that are all trying to live in an intention of really making an impact in the world.
Yeah, it was epic. You know, and I want to jump into the week in a minute, but at the end of it, surprise, surprise, we ended up raising $550,000 for Tim Ballard's foundation. And afterwards, Tim was talking about how he's been in big rooms, big galas, right? Gowns and steak dinners, and people are doing all the things. He says that there's been times where they'll go buy people steak dinner, 100 people, 200 people, and the most amount of money they will raise for a good cause is $2,500 from a bunch of rich people. And they had this one time where they did raise only $2,500 for the foundation, and it actually came from the landscaper. Yeah. He went to his kids and said, hey, kids, I believe in this foundation. How about we give up our Christmas money to donate the $2,500 to this foundation? The kids are like, we're all in for it. And he says, the fact that you guys were able to raise $550,000 in a 2-hour period just talks about the kind of people you were able to collect, gather, and congregate in one white umbrella, basically. We had a massive canopy on Brian Norton's property, and that was an amazing relationship you brought to me, so thank you so much for that.
What we did was monumental.
Yeah.
It was that life-changing that our little community of people, 350 or so or whatever we had there, that we raised $550,000.
Yeah.
They said that was unheard of. They'd never seen something like that.
Yeah, unheard of. I mean, they get like, they said Steve Aoki went and performed. Do you know Steve Aoki? I bet you don't. That doesn't, Vina does.
Yeah.
I don't.
Know who that is.
No.
He's not in the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, so Jerry wouldn't know. So
Who is he?
he's like a electronic music
Oh, okay.
guy out of Vegas. He's so popular that he has a Vegas residency, and in one of the hotels. Anyway, he is a guy that they've paid to perform in front of these other galas, and still they can't raise $100,000.
Yeah.
Even with A-list celebrities, they can't do it. And so,
Well, Brian asked me afterwards, my brother Brian, who helped us organize it. We did it at his farm. He asked me, he's like, what was that? What did I witness? Why was that even possible? And I said, Brian, you got to understand, these are people that we know, we have relationships with. We're doing deals with these people. We're already friends with these people. And we've spent 2 days collaborating. There were deals being made, money being raised. You and I spent the whole week running around looking at deals, right? Like the buildup of this was bringing a group of people together that really were already in the same alignment of doing wonderful, great things in the world.
yeah,
It was not just random people that we had no idea who they were.
right. And, the title of this video, I imagine, is going to end up being something like replace your friends or get new friends or your friends suck or something along those lines. But, I never feel like I'm ever working. I feel like all I'm doing is hanging out with my friends. We're accomplishing cool things. We're doing things we've never done before. And, I was with you in Puerto Rico, I don't know, 4 or 5 months ago. Has it been that long?
Yeah, a couple months ago, yeah.
And instead of just hanging around your property, we did a meetup at your property. We went to your hotel. We then went and looked at vacant properties. You cruised me around in a golf cart. And I'm like, this is what I get to do with my friend.
Yeah.
Everybody else is like, let's go drinking. Let's go party. Let's go watch a movie.
We broke into new construction houses that was
That was
trespassing. We don't recommend that, but it's what Pace and I do. We like to trespass in new construction houses.
That's all we
did that here too.
trespass in that property right across we do trespass a lot. So I do condone trespassing. Vina Jetty does not. So
she said it would be all right, and her lawyer said it was fine.
Yeah, her attorney's right here.
Oh, he said no?
Oh, he's actually sitting above us like a crow up here.
Yeah.
In his crow's nest. I feel like we accomplished a lot this week. Here's a couple of things, and we'll put some B-roll over this footage so you guys can see Jerry and I walking around with Jordan. Shout out to Jordan from Missoula, brought a pretty awesome opportunity to the table. I still haven't talked to Jerry about the structure of it, but Jordan saw that I was going to be with Jerry for the week, and he says, hey, what kind of stuff do you guys want to buy? And I said, Jerry and I probably want to buy some cash-flowing assets here in Flathead County, and they have to be seller finance or subject to. And he brings 2 RV parks that are owned by the same owner. Total purchase price, roughly $7 million with a 7% down payment. So we're going to put in roughly $300,000 to $400,000 as a down payment, some closing costs, and then another $100,000 in capital expenditures, like upgrading that stupid sign out front.
With the little slug bug cart?
Yeah, the slug bug. And that was Monday. Dude, that was Monday. Then on...
And the warehouse.
We
looked at a warehouse that was... Yeah.
We saw stuff we said no to.
Yeah.
Right? And then what was fun is that Jerry and I spent a good amount of time looking at properties and, texting back and forth. What about this? Let's go on appointment here. And our free time where our kids were running around at Jerry's house and jumping on the lake and, finding these moments to time block, our free time was spent furthering the vision and the legacy of our families rather than just hanging around. And that's what I wanted to ask Jerry at the very beginning, which he really answered well, was, do you ever hang out with guys that you just hang out with?
Well, no, I just understand a lot about what you said. I remember you quoted, I think it's Jim Rohn originally, but he said, you're the sum of the average of the 5 people you hang around the most, something to that effect.
Yeah.
And so I've believed that for a long time. I've seen that personally in my own life. I mean, I honestly attribute the day in my life where I had 100% control over the people I associated with.
Oh, that was
as
one of
my freedom day.
That was one of my favorite things you said on stage the other day. You said, my freedom day. And I'm thinking, your brain works very quickly.
Yeah.
As you're saying this, my brain goes, oh, when Jerry had $1 million in the bank is what I thought you were going to say.
Yeah.
But what did you end up saying again?
The moment I had 100% control over the people I associated with, meaning I get to decide who I'm around.
Yes.
I get to decide the students I'm with. I get to decide the friends I have, the family I'm around, where, most people go through life and they have a boss they don't like. They have family that brings them down. They have old friends that aren't a good influence. That's most people's life.
Yeah.
That was my life for a long time. So the minute I felt like I get to choose, it's a complete choice of mine, who I get to associate with, that was my life-changing moment.
Yeah, I love that. And I seek out powerful relationships with powerful people. And what I mean by powerful is that we all start with this, it's not a glass ceiling, but we're all started with this like shield or this bubble over top of us. And we have to become powerful enough to grow beyond that and pop that so that you can actually live a full life. Most people are living underneath this bubble, and it's the way that people from your church that hold you down and say you should be humble. Guys, you should not be humble. If you understand the word of humility, the word of humility actually means play small. And Heavenly Father doesn't want you to play small, right? It's also the thing is that if you learn something important that can help other people, Jesus, when he was on the planet Earth, he didn't go up to people and tell them, hey, here's the gospel. Keep it to yourself. No, when you hear something powerful and you got to preach it and you got to stand on top of the mountains and yell and scream and do all of those types of things, but it's a lot more fun when you do it with other powerful people that have also burst out of that shell. So this week was a lot of fun for me, and my family was, not my family, my team, Eric and other people was like, how's your vacation been? I'm like, yeah, this has been a vacation. I've been on the road for a month, but I got to hang out with Jerry in Utah for 4th of July. Yeah. We hung out and networked with Keaton, cruised around in a Blackhawk helicopter. But
got to see Steve Harward.
Got to see Steve Harward, hang out with him for the whole day. And what's great is when you find other business professionals and you can intermix your family, you never have to take your foot completely out of work. Even though you're networking and you're building brotherhood and you're doing these things, your family is literally by your side.
And it's important you include your family. It was great on one of the RV walkthroughs we did. You had Monday. Oh, yeah. You're carrying Monday in your arms, we were doing content driving around with Monday in the car seat, and your kids, they even though she's really little, they see what you're doing. There's a lot of things that they pick up from you, even if you're not specifically talking to them about it. They're watching you all the time. Nothing's better than including them in the things you do, letting them see what you do. It was special to see my kids come to the first day in the Hilton where we did the presentation. They wanted to. They had other things they could have done, and they came to watch Dad on the stage. And I don't know if you noticed this, but I had Gracie and a couple of my nieces in the front row during the when Tim Ballard spoke.
I did, yeah.
And they watched all of our kids and our families. They watched, dads raising money to save kids. Yeah. They saw that and witnessed that. And how powerful is that for your kids to see you doing something special in the world?
I think that's the best thing you can do for your kids. Not giving your kids money, not giving your kids opportunity, but showing them the path to go create their own opportunities and go create their own wealth. Entitlement is a disease.
Yeah.
And teaching your kids how to do it is the cure, which is great. So community camp was amazing. We had a great week. You and I accomplished a lot. We got some things under contract. We went and looked at an RV park as well. Not an RV park, self-storage.
Self-storage.
Did that end up being a deal?
No, it was not a deal. It was great. I think that might have been, maybe not, I got to think about it, my favorite deal we looked at. Not because it was a deal, but because collectively, and Vina helped out quite a bit, collectively we were able to determine very quickly that it wasn't a deal.
And why not?
Why not? So there's so much growth and learning and development also in why something's a deal, why it's not a deal. And I learned something valuable about getting a little more clarification when someone says it makes $400,000, what exactly that means. We talked about it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully we can put some content out because we had the cameras on with that, because there was major lessons learned there.
Yeah, I mean, bare minimum, we'll have B-roll over top of what Jerry and I are talking about, so you guys can see some of the cool things that we did and paint the picture a little bit more than our words. I only have Jerry for about 20 more minutes, so He's got a family dinner, as he should on Sunday night. But we'll do B-roll, and bare minimum, you guys will see some of these appointments. But that deal ended up not being a deal because the agent did not tell you the truth entirely. He omitted what the truth was, which was, we're not netting $400,000 a year. We are producing $400,000 a year in revenue, gross revenue. And then after you take expenses and all the things out, it went
and
from
debt
being
service,
it went from being like an 11 cap to like a 5 cap, like very, very quickly.
It went from super juicy to okay.
Yeah.
Right. Not what we're looking for.
Yeah, an institution would buy it. You know, somebody that's like a 1031, they'd roll into that deal. Nobody that's going to go out and secure debt is going to buy that deal because the interest rates are higher than the cap rates right now. So that's really hard for a lot of people to do.
Yeah, and everything's a win in this business because we made a great relationship with that agent.
Yeah.
You know, I can see him bringing us more deals.
Yeah, that's the guy that sold the governor's house not too long ago. So he's obviously very, very well connected, whether it's raising capital, finding deals, or, you know, just having relationships, being invited places. And we actually invited him to community camp.
Yeah.
He ended up not coming.
Okay, I didn't see him there.
Yeah, he ended up not coming. But all in all, the week was super successful. Let's talk about Community Camp 2023. What I want to do for everybody that's watching is, on day one, we had Vina speak, Jerry speak, Abraham speak, Cody Barton speak, and myself speak. What we're going to do is give you guys that video in the description down below. You guys just give us your email. We'll give you those 5 videos. That was pretty epic. And then on day 2, we had Brandon Turner, Henry Washington, Jamil Damji, and Jerry crushed it as the MC. Vina, what do you, 10 out of 10? I was blown away.
I've had a good teacher.
It was
I've watched Pace
good. He was
MC.
so prepared. I was like, wow, I'm so glad I'm not doing this. This would be like a 7 out of 10. Jerry was 11 out of 10. So that event, here's where this started from, Community Camp, and I want to lead into Community Camp 2024, ask Jerry a couple of questions, his thoughts on it. I had this thought where I knew I was going to come up and hang out with Jerry. We have a tradition that's only been going on for a couple of years, which is I get to come up to Jerry's lake house and jump in his lake, which I'm going to jump in probably the 5th time this week in about 20 minutes.
Maybe not leave your shoes on this time.
I lost my shoes in the lake. So just so you guys know, if you see some Converse All-Stars.
Why do you wear your shoes swimming?
I'm deathly afraid of things touching my feet in the water.
Because you saw Jaws when you were little?
No, it wasn't that. I've had things touch my feet, whether it's like a weed that's growing up or whatever. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
And so I wear shoes in the water. Even when I'm in the pool, at the house I bought from you, that deep pool scares me. I wear shoes.
They were tied up. How did you, on the tube? You lost it on the tube?
I lost it on the tube. I also almost lost my pants on the tube, and that would have been amazing, having to get back on the boat and holding myself like this. Hey, guys, hold on. Give me a towel, guys. Give me a towel. So the vision for Community Camp was, hey, I'm going to be with Jerry anyway. I know I'm going to miss my community, so why don't we just bring the community here? And Jerry's been having so much fun with me doing meetups around the country. We have BPCon coming in Orlando, so come and check us out. We actually have both of our classes already sold out, just so you know.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, there's no more spots. So come see us at BPCon. We'll go in the hallways. We'd love to meet you guys in person. But our classes at BPCon have been sold out for a month, which is really something to say. Really appreciate you guys' support. And I just said, hey, Jerry, let's do something cool where we reward the biggest givers in our collective communities. And let's stop calling it the Subto community, the Jerry Norton flipping mastery community, the Vina Jetty multifamily mastery community, the Jamil Astro flipping community. It's like, let's just call it the community. And we're all collaborating, right? Gators are lending money to Subto. Subto's doing deals with Astro. I get a lot of my students doing deals with Jerry Norton students. And so I said, let's do something to reward the largest givers in our collective community. And let's call this Community Camp. And Jerry's like, I'm all about it. Let's use my house.
And by the way, it went viral. Community Camp went viral.
Crazy.
We created so much. I feel bad for all the people that weren't here. We created so much FOMO of like, look at what these guys are doing. Look how much fun they're having, and I'm not there, right? I saw that a lot.
There's a couple of things I hope that people will learn from Community Camp, and here's a couple of things. Number one, when you get a great friend like Jerry Norton, Vina Jetty, and Jamil Damji, Brandon Turner, Henry Washington, Spencer Cornelia, Cody Barton, Abraham Gray, etc., you have the ability to create things that didn't exist before. 60 days ago is an idea. Here we are now talking about how we raised $500,000 plus for, child trafficking causes. That came from an idea with a good friend of mine, and it just went crazy. So I want you to understand that when you get powerful friends, you can do powerful things. That's number one. Number two, we also made a lot of mistakes in Community Camp because we've never done it before. Jerry and I have never ran an event before, but that didn't stop us. I could have said, man, this is really hard. Let's write it all out. Let's plan. Let's have all these committee meetings. Let's spend all this money with event planners. No, we just said, this is our intention. And whatever happens with that intention, whether it deviates 15 different ways, let's let it go the way it goes. But let's only invite people that are givers. And the entire community vibe of this last 4 days has been that of love, kindness, abundance. And you see people that are in your community hanging out with everybody else's. And Henry's people are like, I've never felt so much love in my entire life. I've made all these friends. I got text message from people say I have new business partners. I have new lenders. It is crazy. You know how many testimonials we ended up getting yesterday?
How many?
We got 320 testimonials.
Incredible.
The number one testimonial we got was actually talking about your speech on stage about the comfort zone. And that was so good. It was impactful for me.
Yeah.
Phenomenal. So guys, again, in the description down below, we'll give that away. The risk tolerance thing. I've never heard Jerry talk about it. Maybe he has on his channel. But we bring all these people together, and it got so viral that what happened is you brought your brother Brian involved. And Brian then what? What happened with Brian?
Well, Brian, not only did he let us use his farm, we set up a massive tent. And by the way, when we say like a farm or a hobby farm, this place is like picture perfect. Like your wife loved that farm so much.
She's like, why is this not in a movie?
Yeah, like that belongs in a magazine, his farm. Amazing. Yeah. Barns and animals and just beautiful
picturesque.
Place.
Everything you could imagine. Like if you could put a farm together,
Better Homes and Garden, right? I mean, even their garden was like...
Better Homes and Garden,
yeah. And my dad helps out with their farm quite a bit. But the fact that he allowed us to use his property, he also is a direct connection to Tim Ballard. He's been a leading part of Tim's life and his mission for many years now. I don't know if people know this, he picked up Tim in his plane.
Yeah, I probably spent about $30,000 getting his private jet to leave here, go pick Tim up in St. George, and then come back, and then also take him back. He probably spent 40 grand, had him stay in his house, and then had him come and speak to us in our audience.
Yeah, incredible. And Bob Norton, too, my other brother Bob, he let us go out to his $6.5 million spec home.
Yeah.
And that was amazing. I mean, there were so many good nuggets that he shared. He just opened up and shared so much. I think people got a lot out of seeing somebody building and selling a $6.5 million home, right, in Whitefish, Montana.
Yeah, a lot of people walked away saying, and this happens to me every time I hang out with Jerry, Bob, or Brian, is I'm thinking too small. I'm not playing big enough. I'm cowarding back into the old version of Pace from 25 years ago before I knew this stuff, and the little lizard in my brain is telling me to play it safe. You get around a guy like Bob, and he gives you that energy through osmosis, and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm going to go do a $20 million build.
Yeah,
Let's go.
Yeah.
That was really cool. It was special. Bob, thank you so much for that. Brian, thank you so much for that. Tim Ballard, that was very cool. Our team will do some B-roll so you guys can see, but we ended up raising $550,000 in a 2-hour time span, and that was so fun. I think you said that you had so much adrenaline you couldn't go to bed.
I stared at the ceiling that night for like 3 hours because my adrenaline was just so high. You know, through the auction and raising all that money and seeing everybody give and give and give so graciously and so just opened up their checkbooks. You know what touched me the most? I don't think I quite understood the impact until the following morning when we were standing right up here on the deck with Jamil. And Jamil said, and I'll never forget this, he said, do you guys realize that we just funded like a month of rescue operations with what we did?
Yeah.
Resulting in, I mean, even if it's one kid, that's worth it, but resulting in probably dozens, maybe hundreds of lives saved.
Yeah.
Kids in a hole, in a dark room in a hole, crying for someone to save them. And we brought enough funds to rescue a lot of kids. Isn't that cool?
It's very cool. By the math that Tim was talking about on stage, it sounded like it's about 1,000 kids are saved from refugee camps through war zones in 1 month with their operations, and about 300 kids are extracted from sex trafficking areas and brothels and stuff like that in a month time frame. So, I mean, 1,300 minimum kids are going to be impacted just from our 1 month.
Brian told me, he said, after that night, Tim was on the phone green lighting some operations that they just haven't had the funding to do because of what we did.
It was epic.
Incredible.
You know, in Communicamp wasn't planned to be a fundraiser. We didn't plan on having Tim Ballard. We didn't plan on having Brandon Turner. And it was really interesting. Brandon Turner's speech talking about how it was so divine that he ended up being led there. Did you hear what he had to say?
Yeah, incredible.
So he has been raising money for human trafficking for about a year and a half and dedicated half of his profits from one of his businesses to human trafficking. Not that he's running his own organization, he's just funding other people's organizations. And I was able, it's so cool that I was able to text message Brandon Turner and Tim Ballard together yesterday so they could connect. And Brandon
Great
Turner's
connection.
already dedicated millions of dollars to their fund. It's
Yeah.
cool to see. But Brandon says,
Wow.
he told the story. He says, I text Pace about a week ago, and I said, hey, Pace, I see you're driving around the country, and you're in your Airstream. You're in Idaho. I'd love to have you just stop by my property. Let's hang out for a couple of days. Let's get the families together. And I said, Brandon says, Pace replies back and says, no, I can't make it, dude. I'm running this thing called Communicamp with my best buddy, Jerry. But do you want to come and meet Tim Ballard? And Brandon Turner had made a life goal for himself to meet Tim Ballard sometime in the next 3 years. And he was able to accomplish that in 3 months because I guess just the buzz from Communicamp created something just very special.
Yeah, really, really cool. I mean, if you think about what Brandon said, he said he's really good at making money, right? And so he feels compelled now to do something much more impactful. I love what he said. He said, you know what? You know, my investments are worth $1 billion. In 10 years from now, they'll be worth $10 billion. What I really want to do is have impact now.
Right.
How special to have that guy on our stage talking with us
Very cool.
and be friends with.
For me, like, two things I want to talk about before I wrap up with Jerry. I've got another 10 minutes with him. Two things. One, I want to talk about how did we make money from this event? Okay, I have my own ways that I will make money from this event. I want to see your reaction to this. And then number two, I want to get your thoughts on 2024. Do you go bigger? Do you change it? Is there something that you alter? Is there a different vibe that you try and create? Or do we try and emulate the same exact thing? So I'll start off by those last two things. How will I make money from 2023 Community Camp? Number one, Jerry and I hopefully are going to buy 2 RV parks by creating this atmosphere and this ecosphere of community camp bubble over Kalispell, created this awesome energy where Jerry and I were running out and looking at property. So buying $7 million in RV parks on seller finance. So that'll be number one. That's an obvious one. Number two, standing right here, literally right here. This is the power of connection, power of relationships. Jerry introduces me to Bob Norton, his brother, who's building here locally. And Bob says, hey, I just want to start building apartment buildings here. I've got the crews, I've got the money, I've got the land, I've got the crews, and I'd love to get some of your guys' money. And I hope that you, me, and Bob can figure out how do we go build some stuff here locally.
Yeah, that'd be really awesome.
That did not happen without Community Camp.
Yeah.
Number three, after Community Camp, let's talk about for 1 second. Community Camp in itself, the connections I made from people from Vina's community, your community. I will buy deals. I will do things with people that came to Community Camp easily. We've already done that. Jordan alone, you and I bought $7 million in real estate with Jordan already. That's already done. We'll buy so much more real estate, and people will go home, take the leadership that they felt, and install that and download that into our communities all over the country. And it will only amplify deal flow. It will amplify lending, amplify leadership. Community Camp will create a domino effect that we will see for years and years and years to come. Now, that's kind of like the invisible stuff. The very visible thing, this happened to me the night after Community Camp was over. We were in the kitchen, Tim Ballard, Brian Norton, Bob, everybody's wives. By the way, shout out to all the wives that just...
Amazing, yeah.
They were in behind the scenes, so they don't get anywhere near as much credit as they deserve, but they were the foundation of everything, right? It took 2 days to put that gala together that only went on for 4 hours. And that wasn't Jerry and I at all.
Yeah.
Like zero. That was the women who do the majority of the hard work. So thank you so much for that. But we're in the kitchen, and Brian, your brother, who you introduced me to, says to me, hey, I know you're buying businesses creatively now. I've got this business that I just got under contract. I want to get your idea on it. And I go, cool, yeah. You know, I just bought, I'm bragging a little bit. Yeah, I just bought a $5 million business, and we're going to turn this thing into $100,000 a month in cash flow. It's going to be so cool, da-da-da-da-da. And Brian's like, oh, that's so awesome. Genuinely excited for me. And he goes, tell me what you think about this one. So I just got under LOI with this company that does $600 million a year in sales. And I'm into it with no money out of pocket. I got 5 family offices that pop 30 million, 30 million, 30 million, 30 million, 30 million, all in. I'm into the deal. I'll probably make $10 million, $20 million my first year on this deal. And he's telling me all this stuff. He goes, do you think that's a good deal? And I'm like, I realize that Jerry is my best friend, and it's so cool to be able to have him introduce me to opportunities like Brian. And I go, Brian, why aren't we buying businesses together? He goes, let's do it. Let's get all of us together. Let's get the brothers together, see who wants to participate. If Jerry and you want to participate, let's go. Let's get Cody, my business partner. Let's fly up. Let's spend a couple of days together with his integrators and go, let's do more stuff together, because the more stuff we do together, the more we can give away to charity and go make massive impact. That would not have been possible. By the way, Brian, who's doing very cool things, Jerry, who's doing cool things, you can't get the attention of cool people doing cool things unless you're a cool person doing cool things. So part of community camp was going, hey, Jerry, let's do something cool. Let's inspire people. Let's create a buzz and an energy that gravitates people towards us so that we can compound those resources next year. And so by far, one of my favorite events, if not is this not your favorite event, Vina?
Without a doubt.
Mine too. No question. Hands down.
So fun.
Yeah.
And it went way better than what we ever anticipated. 350 people at your house. Taco trucks kept the people in the front. Lake kept people in the back. It was spread out. And it didn't feel like 350 people were here.
Everybody networking, everybody having fun. It was great.
Crazy. So I know that we'll make money from community camp, hands down. I'll do deals with people, deals with Brian, deals with you, me, Brian, you, me, Bob. Jordan, you and I are already going to do those deals, and we'll compound and do a lot more deals in the future. And now that we've got a foothold here in Kalispell, you just compound and put a team together, and in 10 years we'll own $300 million in real estate here, I'm sure.
Pace, my experience was very similar, but it was with Vina Jetty.
Was it?
Yeah, and it was, so we were doing this, we called it a hot seat, but we basically, yesterday, we did these small group masterminds where one person at a time would say, okay, this is the biggest thing holding me back right now, and then the rest of the group would give them suggestions and ideas. It was really great. Well, we did our whole group, or I think there might have been 1 or 2 left, and we said, okay, well, who's next? And I'm like dying because I got Vina Jetty sitting here with me. And nobody says anything for like, I don't know, a minute. And selfish me says, okay, well, I got one. And so then I brought up some of my challenges with my hotel project and raising money. And Vina just jumps in and she starts saying, okay, well, there's this. You need to talk to this person, this person, this person. And she's like, well, what are we even talking about here? And I tell her like about my hotel deal. And she's like, why are we even talking about this little tiny deal? Like you need a fund and you need to go buy a whole bunch of these things. And it was just like, for me, I had the same experience, like, wow, I'm thinking way too small.
Yeah.
And here's somebody here helping me think a whole lot bigger. And I pulled Vina aside and I said, Vina, can I pay you $25,000 to come spend the day with you? And I'm thinking she's probably going to say $100,000 because that's what her time's worth, you know? And she's like, Jerry, what are you talking about? Just come spend the day with me. What are you talking about? I'm not going to take your $25,000. And I genuinely meant it. I would pay Vina $100,000 to spend the day with her because she has an expertise that is so far past where I'm at that I don't have right now that I know will bring me so much value and so much benefit, not only in dollars, but in connections and relationships. So, and that would not have happened had you not been friends with Vina and brought that connection so that now she's my friend and someone that I can now go to for resources and for help.
Yeah, you know, what I think was my proudest moment of the week was, you know, raising money was cool, and I'm really proud of that. I was not expecting that. I think you and I had an internal goal of like, hey, let's raise $100,000 to $200,000. So we smashed that. But the thing that I really loved was I love things that have continuation and things that will compound. So look at the relationship that you now have with Brandon Turner. Think about the relationship you now have with Abraham Gray. Think about now, I've been trying to put you and Vina together for like 3 or 4 months. Yeah. So now I've got you guys together, and you know what will be the greatest thing is I get to go watch you guys go make money together. I don't need to be a part of it. I am a part of it. I'm sitting in the front row at a movie theater. The name of the movie is Jerry and Vina Make $1 Billion, and I get to watch that freaking movie. Right? And it gives me chills just to think about what will happen with your guys' relationship.
Did you know that Vina's about to hit $1 billion in transactions?
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
You know what sucks about being
with a B.
Yeah.
Guys, I said with a billion with a B.
Yeah, I told her that when you hit a billion with a B, you have to change your name from Vina Jetty to Bina Betty. because now you just got all the B's. Billions. Yeah.
What an accomplishment.
What sucks about being somebody like Vina is that you have these high expectations of you, and I'm honestly going to just tell you the truth. I'm really not even surprised you hit a billion. If I said, hey, I hit a billion, people are like,
Yeah,
liar.
Right. Yeah, right.
This guy's a lying guru furu. CoffeeZilla would do a video on me and be like, oh, this guy, we're going to deep dive. It was $997,412,000. This guy's a lying sack. Meanwhile, you say you hit $1 billion, Vina, and I go, so what? So what? Yeah.
You know what's funny about like my relationship with Vina was, when you meet somebody that's like really good at what they do, you want to like impress them, Mm-hmm. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to be real with Vina, and I'm going to let her see how little I know about her world, raising a lot of money and multifamily and some of these things. And hopefully she'll still want to be my friend. So she would say words and things that I had no clue what she was talking about. And I just said, I'm just going to let her see like the real Jerry. I'm like, what does that mean? I don't know what that means. And then she would say, well, okay, well, here's the college version. And then here's the dumbed down, kindergarten version.
We call it the Jerry and Paste version.
Yeah, the kindergarten version. But the fact that she is able to take very complex things like, commercial real estate, multifamily.
Yeah.
She's doing a $65 million raise right now on a project, and be willing to explain those concepts in a way that I can understand. I'm just so thrilled to have her on my channel so that she can share these ideas.
Yeah, you guys
about
did
money raising and multifamily.
You guys did a series which hopefully will have come out or will soon come out. I would strongly suggest you guys go watch this. It's going to be corporate structure around capital raising, because there is a specific and owning multifamily. You've got management companies. You've got the GP and the LP and all the things. There's a very specific corporate structure. It's not like, hey guys, let's just throw all of our money in one LLC. That's not how this works, right? There's very specific ways that things are structured. Vina, and hopefully, I don't know if Nick, you're going to be hanging around tomorrow? So Nick will be here tomorrow. Are you going to have Nick on the channel?
She's bringing Nick on the series we're going to do.
Is he invoicing $700 an hour like he invoices
He's
me?
Somebody. I don't know where that invoice goes.
This is what's funny about Nick, dude. He goes, hey, can I get a ride? I go, no problem. I'll do you a favor. I'll come pick you up. And then I get an invoice a month later, and it's like, Pace giving Nick a ride, 0.15 hours, $325.
Did he pull out a little? Did he pull out a little timer like to start the?
Oh yeah, yeah. He's got a pencil and pad. He's writing all the hours. He bills me for everything. It's called Big Nick Energy. Okay. Anyway, so there's lots of ways that we'll all make money from Communicamp, which is amazing. My final question, we'll let you go. I know you've got to get out of here in a couple minutes. Communicamp 2024. Here's my thoughts on, here's the good. I don't have enough time for the good. So many great things. Your relationship with me, you and I have now accomplished something together that I'll never forget. And when I'm 80 years old, I'll go, dude, remember that one time?
Remember Community Camp 2023?
Yeah, remember when we broke your boat and we were hanging out in the lake and looked like a bunch of turds in a toilet bowl?
And I didn't have any shoes or my phone, and we were stranded.
We were hobbling down the street.
And remember Ben pulled the boat single-handedly with...
He did. Ben did do that.
With a rope.
If he didn't got her hair wet.
We got Vina's hair wet, so it's taken her 2 days to fix it.
You fed 350 people, and you raised $550,000. All of the good things. I watched so many people connect. Even Rhea Campbell, who I'm going to do a podcast here in a little bit, she was texting me this morning saying, thank you so much for Communicamp. I just met my business partner here.
Yeah.
And I got a lot of other text messages and DMs.
Another cool thing, I don't know if many people know, but my wife Anne Marie, she was pulling these groups of women together.
Oh, I watched the whole time.
They were having their own power sessions. Incredible.
Yeah, they're
she
thinking
made
about
so many friends.
They're thinking about doing something I think Anne Marie should have been doing and is probably ready for.
Yeah.
Couples retreat.
Yeah.
Right, which will be very powerful. So that's the good stuff. All the good things, amazing. Couple of the bad things. Bad things were on the third day. There were people that were coming up to me after I thought I met everybody, I hung out with everybody, I took photos with everybody. There were people coming up to me and saying, Pace, can I get a photo with you? And I'm like, where have you been? And they're like, oh, I was at this table or this table. And 320 people seems like actually a small group compared to what we normally are used to. We both speak on stages of 1,000 to 5,000 people. So when you get 320 people in one place, you're like, okay, this is manageable, especially for 3 days. So the bad side of it, I felt like there was probably 30 or 40 people I didn't get a chance to have a conversation with even over 3 days. And so part of me is like, does 2024 get smaller so that we can have it way more intimate? Or does 2024 have a different energy and we go, we need more help and we need more free time and we need more activities, less education, and we can now invite 500 people because now there's more space and more time for that type of stuff. What are your thoughts?
Good question. Well, I mean, my gut feeling is doing the fun things and creates those connections, and those connections are very important. And some of that education piece you can get, on Zooms or on the YouTube channel or whatever. I still think it's powerful, though, if there's an education component to it.
Yeah.
I felt like we had a great mix of education and community building, activity building things. I felt like that was a really good mix. But we are going to have a problem. Kalispell is not an easy town. It's not easy for transportation. The airport's small. There's not a lot of rental cars. It's a challenge. There's not a lot of space to fit a lot of people.
We sold out the airlines.
We maxed out the biggest room that the hotels have around here. So I think size is probably going to present a challenge next year if we want to go bigger.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That's something we're going to have to really try to figure out.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And, everybody's going to have a different opinion about it. I think overall people would have paid, I don't know. Rhea, what would you have paid? Carolina, what would you have paid? What would you have paid if somebody charged you $10,000 for a 3-day weekend like this? Would you have paid something knowing what you got out of it this weekend?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so $10,000.
I had several people tell me this was a $10,000 event.
For sure. I've been to $30,000 events that did not provide the same energy.
Yeah.
Right? So we don't want to do that. We want this to be more of an award, a reward for our community members who are big givers and all of that kind of stuff. But still, with our collective communities, you've got 50,000 people roughly. You want to make sure you invite as many givers as humanly possible. Yeah. My vote is we go a little bit bigger and we push the limits of Kalispell and we just plan a year in advance and hopefully we can pull it off.
We might have to buy like another airline or maybe like an enterprise or a budget rental car company.
Well, Vina's hit $1 billion now. She can just fly everybody.
She'll buy us maybe Vina can buy some buses and we'll have our own buses.
Bus company.
Yeah, a bus company.
Vina Betty's bus company.
The Jetty Jet.
The Jetty Jet. So for those of you that are in our collective communities, Vina Jetty, Jerry Norton, Jamil Damji, etc., we'll be talking about how you guys can get into Community Camp 2024. We had 4,000 inquiries to get into Community Camp this year. And
all the way up to the end, people wanted in. Yeah. It was crazy. Yeah, all the way up to the end.
Wow. What a blast.
And we're going to be talking about it already. We're not going to wait till, June of next year to talk about it, right? So there's going to be a lot of talk about Community Camp 2024.
It would be cool, you and I even talked about doing 2 of them in a summertime, like one in the beginning of summer and one at the end of summer, so you can get the warm months and space them out, and then you do 2 of them. You guys are going to be here the whole summer anyway, right?
Yeah, I think that's a brilliant idea.
Maybe that's the way you do it, and then that way
you accommodate.
You can reward and accommodate more people at that time.
That means you have to stay and hang out with me longer.
That's the goal. That's the goal. I went and looked at property this morning. I went to a cherry farm, pitched seller finance terms. She's been on the market 14 months, and she's like, nobody's ever offered seller finance. I'm like, would you do it? She's like, absolutely. It was the cherry farm you've been down to.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, I would sell it to you all day long. But for $5.5 million as a purchase price, it's like, what else could you do here?
Yeah.
And I found something for $4 million that's on 40 acres on Flathead River, and it has a massive 20,000 square foot barn on it.
You haven't told me about this one, I don't think.
I found it this morning.
Nice.
I'm trying to get Jerry to go see it with me tomorrow morning. What are you doing tomorrow morning? Oh, you're with Vina.
Doing videos with Vina.
What time do you guys start?
Early.
Seriously?
Yeah, we're starting early.
Okay. We will not.
There's
Jerry
too
and
many
I.
things she has to share.
Jerry and I will not be going on any more seller appointments. When are you leaving town, by the way?
I mean, it gets light at 6.
When are you leaving?
Not till October.
Okay, so I'm leaving my truck and my Airstream here because you and I, hopefully, if you're going to be my partner in that, we haven't decided that. We don't need to decide that now. But we have 2 RV parks under contract. We're deploying capital for it on Monday. Today's Sunday. And I'll close escrow on that probably in 30 days. I'm leaving my truck and trailer at those parks. so that I have a place to have my truck and trailer. I'm leaving all my stuff here, and now I have a home in Kalispell, and so we can go and expand real estate.
So can my wife and I use the Airstream for date night?
Anytime. Yes. You have to bring your own mattress, though, or a mattress cover. One of the two.
The Love Stream? Can we call it the Love
The
Stream?
Love Stream. Only if you guys promise to have an 11th child. Is that possible to unfix somebody?
Snip, snap, snip, snap, snip, snap.
He got unfixed for a week.
Stop. We're all done.
Okay, we're supposed
10's
to be
a good
done.
solid number.
Okay, guys. Really appreciate you. The purpose of this video is to show you a relationship that I've built. I sought Jerry out. I said, that's a guy I want to hang out with. I brought him value. I continue to try and find ways to bring him value. He brings more to me than I can bring to him. And that's a good relationship. A good relationship is an equal exchange. You're constantly pushing each other. And more importantly, when I go out and I am basically aggregating and collecting relationships, those aren't relationships just for me. Those are relationships that I bring back to Jerry. Same thing with Vina. When I'm going out and building relationships with Jerry, I'm bringing those to Vina. And build a strong network of highly powerful friends that are doing very cool things, and your life will change. You'll feel like you have no limits.
I honestly feel like whatever level you're at right now, if you can find somebody that's maybe a year ahead of you from where you want to be, that is going to be a very powerful friendship and mentor, because they feel the pain you're going through right now at your level because they were just there.
Yeah.
And they're going to be able to give you really fresh insights into how they overcame those same obstacles. But they better be on a similar journey as you, which is of constant self-growth, self-development,
Yeah.
so that you can grow with that friend. I mean, Pace, you've done so much for me in my life. You've brought me, I used to not be very public for a long time. I didn't do things like this, and you've pushed me and encouraged me to do that, and I'm so thankful for that, because I've made new friends that I would not have made thanks to you.
I
that you've
slowly
introduced me
conned you into it, just so you know. It was little trickles here and there. Hey, you want to go over here? Hey, you want to go over here? And then all of a sudden, it was like you were asking me, like, hey, are we going to do a meetup? Hey, are we going to do a meetup?
Yeah.
And it's been a lot of fun.
Well, now it's like when Pace says, hey, Jerry, do you want to? Yes.
Same thing here.
I don't even wait for the sentence to finish.
Same thing here.
Because I know it's going to be epic.
Well, what is going to be epic is Community Camp 2024. So if you guys are in our collective communities, please look out for that. You guys will see news in Subto, Vina Jetty's Facebook group, Jamil's Facebook group, etc. I would say that we'll probably release something before September, October, planning for next summer. Maybe 2 events is the smart way to go.
Yeah.
Maybe keeping it to 1. I don't know.
Let us know by the way, if you're watching this and you came to community camp, let us know what you think, and let us know the favorite thing you liked about community camp, your biggest takeaway, and maybe your number one suggestion of what you would want to see differently. Would that be helpful?
Yes.
Let's get that feedback. It'd be great.
Thank you guys. We'll see you in the next video.